Hello, this is video number 3, and in this one we're going to have a go at doing this oxide daisy here. So painting white petals with your white on white paper is quite tricky, but I actually think it's a pleasure to do. I always like doing white petals, so I'm just going to talk you through how we're going to do that. So I'm going to put that to one side. Now, if you remember, we've already done a bit of the Montbretia, and now I'm going to have a go at doing this daisy here. So I'm just going to try and adjust my camera a little bit. Okay, so paint's there. So I've started drawing it out here. I don't know how well we can see that. Again, faintly, this is not a pencil drawing, it's just a drawing that's suitable for painting. So it's very straightforward. I'm just doing a circle in the middle and then a lot of these petals. Now these petals kind of vary, they're not a kind of perfect circle as I did for the Montbretia. They kind of, some of them come out a bit further and some of them are shorter. Okay, so I just will rub out a bit of what I've done. I don't want the pencil marks to show, just giving myself a guide really. Okay, so for these white petals, I'm going to talk a little bit more about using an opposite colour again, or looking really hard at what colours you do get within your whites. Let's just start with doing the centre because that's quite simple. So that we've got our yellows, little tiny kind of dots of yellow, and then round the edge that yellow becomes a bit greener. So adding, again, I like to do a little bit of mixing on my paper just to kind of get, I don't mind having the little mixy bits around the edge of the paper. I think it looks quite cool. I'm just looking in that it kind of gets a bit greener, a bit less yellow, and it's kind of little dots. Ooh, that's quite dark green. Kind of dark green around that. It's interesting. I'm just having a go. Oh, I've made a very dark yellow. Right, a little bit of dark yellow, so there. It's quite wet now, but that's actually going to be okay because it's probably going to bleed a little bit into the petals, which I quite like. Okay, the petals. Now, if I look really carefully at these petals, and you know, whatever flower you're looking at, it's really about thinking, now what colour is that? Again, it's a slightly, ever so slightly purpley grey. So I'm going to mix myself just here. I've got a bit of grey paint and a tiny touch of purple. Maybe a tiny touch of blue as well. So I've got here a little mix of purpley greys, and I'm just going to go around the edge, just at the base of each of my petals like that. Can you see that? Now I'm going to have a slightly, they're going to vary. Some being a bit more purpley, some being a bit more blue. And actually what's happened there, I've just touched the centre where the yellow is, and that's kind of bled in, but that's part of watercolour magic, is that kind of, it kind of is a bit accidental, but I want that. I want that. Okay, so I'm making again my little, and can you see this is starting to look like the shades within that flower there. So we've got, I don't know if you can see that well, what you might think is really daunting. That blue. So I'm trying out some colours here, but that blue is too blue. I'm just going to put little edges, just using the tippity tip end. A bit more purple. Oh no, that's different blue. Back to my purple, back to my grey. So I'm playing around, and I've got some are purpley, some are bluey, and I've gone into the middle a bit there, it's bled in. Now I'm going to get some white on my brush now. So this is the white watercolour. So, and then along the middle of those, because I've got a bit of yellow on my brush, it's kind of coming out a bit cream, but I quite like that as well. I'm just going to go over the middle of my petals. So the edges were done with those blues and purples, which hopefully won't dry. They're kind of bleeding in, which is exactly what I want. Now, another thing you can do on a white flower is to start to paint the background. So if we looked at this one that I did earlier, I've started to go around in a dark contrasting colour around the edge. So I've painted all the white in here, and I've added a little bit more dark to the centre. But that just starts to really make it look like a proper watercolour flower. So as this dries, so I'm going to think about what colours is going to look good behind there. I'm going to stick with these purple blue colours. Maybe a bit of grey. So I'm going with almost a darker version of what I had as my shadow colours, and I'm just going to very carefully go around the edge of that. Now on your page, that's going to, just nice to go right in, so you sort of delineate each of the petals. What I quite like to do, and as you can see I did on this one, I've kind of varied the colour. I haven't just stuck with one colour. So I might take that into a kind of slightly more orange, but I've mixed a bit of orange with my purple and blue. Actually, yellow, that's kind of come out green, but I quite like that. That's cool. I'm just making that contrasting darker edge. Back to a bit of purple. Oh, that's lovely. That's kind of purple mixed with that has come out almost black. I'm going to use that that I've got on my brush here just to add a little bit more kind of edge, kind of detail, and just put tiny little edges to that central, tiny thin little strip up the middle of some of the petals, not branches. What am I on about? Okay. So you can see where that's going. It's starting to look like the oxeye daisy. Okay, so in the next video we're going to have a tackle at the foxglove. Okay, I look forward to seeing you in video number 4.